Asa Swift here, writer of several horror stories, which you can find on Amazon.com or on my website, asaswift.com. I stopped by the haunted Hannah house located on the south side of Indianapolis a couple of days ago, and I wanted to give you a review of it. And this is from Fox 59 4 years ago. The Hannah house on the south side of Indianapolis is one of the most haunted places in the Midwest. Indiana State Legislator Alexander Hannah built the 24-room house on Madison Avenue in 1858. The mansion was part of the Underground Railroad, and Hannah hid runaway slaves in the basement. One tragic night, while a group of slaves were waiting to leave their hiding spot, someone knocked over an oil lamp. The basement went up in flames, trapping the slaves and killing them. The dead slaves were hastily buried in the cellar's dirt floor to cover up the incident as quickly as possible. Investigators and past owners believe those slaves haunt the house to this very day. Several people have witnessed the ghosts of slaves and have heard moaning and whispering in the cellars. The mansion was given the nickname the house that reeks of death because occasionally one of the bedrooms smells like rotting flesh, but the next day it smells like roses. Many people have seen doors swing open for no reason, and they've experienced cold drafts without explanation. Also, the apparition of what many people think is Hannah himself has been spotted on the property. And I would add one other thing. There is also a story of a small boy up in the attic, and in fact, there is video of this small boy in the attic in night vision. He was seen around the staircase or stairway up into the attic. I don't know if you've ever been in the house, you'll know what I'm talking about. I've been in the house myself a few times as a haunted house and just as a tour from the basement all the way up to the attic. Unfortunately, the back half of the house, which is the servants' quarters, was not, and far as I know, is not available for tours. It's quite a large area too, unfortunately, so it's a shame that that's not available for people to go through. But nevertheless, the house is actually much longer than it is wide, and you have the main house, which has about 4 chimneys. Then you have the back half of the house, which is the servants' quarters, and then an addition onto that too. And there's several other buildings on the property. On the south side of the building, there is a cistern, and that's what they used to store water once upon a time. There's also an outdoor kitchen, which is what they used in those days to keep the heat out of the house. No air conditioning, no electric fans, no nothing. So when you're cooking with wood and coal, you want that to be outside, away from the house, to keep the heat down as much as possible. Also, there's a small dairy area, that's the only way I can describe it, where it has a stone trough that would have been filled with circulating water, maybe from a well or something, and that was used to keep dairy items cool back in the day. Now, unfortunately, as you can see, Hannah House is not in that great a shape anymore, and in fact, the fence is falling down. Recent comments about the house have said that it's in very poor condition. It needs a new roof, needs painting, it needs maintenance of all kinds, and they claim that the owners have been nearly impossible to get a hold of to find out what's going on with Hannah House. There are no more tours, there are no more haunted houses, and in fact you'll see that the property is posted no trespassing all over. So it's where no one's able to gain access to the inside anymore. If that would have been possible, I certainly would have. And I would have loved to shown you the inside from top to bottom as much as I could. But that was not to be. So I don't know what the future holds for Hannah House. I can only say that I certainly hope that the future holds for a rebuilding, a reconstruction of it, a renovation of the house and the grounds and the fence, because this is a public treasure, not only for the city, but the state and in the nation, especially since the house was part of the Underground Railroad with such a notable family. And then there's this, historicindianapolis.com. Touted in numerous books on the paranormal and celebrated in campfire stories for generations, local legend has it that Indy's famous Hannah House, located on the south side at 3801 Madison Avenue, is rife with spectral activity. Little did the builder know that one day his beautiful home, now touted as the most haunted house in the state, would be the centerpiece of childhood nightmares and teenage fright delight. The 24-room Hanna House was built in 1858 by Alexander Hanna, who was a respected civic leader and who dabbled in a variety of business interests, including farming and prospecting. Hanna served the Indianapolis Southside community as sheriff, postmaster, circuit court clerk, and as a member of the Indiana General Assembly, providing a great cover for the job he purportedly was most passionate about, conductor on the Underground Railroad. Alexander M. Hanna was born in Wayne County, southern Indiana, in 1821, and he trained as a harness maker. He left that business in 1850 to seek his fortune in the California gold rush. As a prospector, Hanna earned enough money to become part owner of a ranch in California. After 5 years, he sold off his various business interests and moved back to Indiana, finally settling in Indianapolis. Hanna's father, Samuel, was president of the Indiana Central Railroad, and Alexander found work with that company when he returned. The Hanna family owned extensive property in Marion County. Alexander Hanna himself acquired 240 acres south of Indianapolis and began construction of his beautiful red brick dream home upon it. The Italianate design of the house with Greek revival influences was a popular style in the 1850s. The Indianapolis Southport Toll Road, the first toll road in Marion County, crossed Hanna's property. An early road from Indianapolis to Madison. From 1860 to 1895, Hanna collected tolls from travelers along the section of gravel surface road. The major east-west street south of his house still bears the name Hanna Avenue. In addition to his other vocations, Hanna was well known as a progressive farmer and was knowledgeable of the latest scientific techniques in agriculture. He raised wheat, corn, oats, and hay, as well as livestock including cattle, sheep, and hogs. In 1872, Hanna married Elizabeth Nee Jackson, and the couple constructed a service building southeast of the kitchen wing. The new addition housed the smokehouse, wash house, milk cooling room, summer kitchen, and servants' quarters. Though the couple hoped to have children, local lore has it that Elizabeth miscarried their only child. There are no records of a child's death associated with the house, but at the Hanna family cemetery plot there is a small unmarked gravestone between those of Alexander and Elizabeth, indicative of an infant buried. The tragic tale of heartache seems to have spawned the first of many folklore tales of hauntings on the property, the ghostly presence of a stillborn child in one of the upper bedrooms. By all accounts, Alexander and Elizabeth enjoyed a happy married life. Through the ensuing years, the couple continued to entertain and participate in prominent civic events. Again, according to local legend, Alexander was a fervent abolitionist during the years before the Civil War, and with hundreds of wooded acres around the home and scant populace, Hanna could certainly have operated a sanctuary for fleeing slaves heading toward Canada for years without detection. Popular stories portray a rainy evening when a group of slaves concealed in the Hanna cellar, waiting for exactly the right time to make their getaway, accidentally tripped over an oil lamp and set the room ablaze. Instantly enveloped in smoke and flames and unable to flee, many of the occupants allegedly died in minutes from smoke inhalation and burns. And as the story goes, the deceased slaves were hastily and temporarily buried by Hanna's servants in the dirt of the cellar floor in an attempt to cover up the incident so the stop on the Underground Railroad would not be discovered. Hiding slaves was not an activity that would have been kept in official records or talked about openly at the time, so there is no way to verify the story. Absolutely. However, the story has been passed down from one family generation to the next. Also, though not categorically proven, current-day neighbors report the discovery of partially collapsed tunnels whose trajectory would indicate an association with the Hanna property, which, if ever verified, would perhaps lend some credence to the Underground Railroad stories. Alexander and Elizabeth were laid to rest at Crown Hill Cemetery, having died without an heir in 1895 and 1888, respectively. The Hanna house sat dormant for 4 years until 1899, when Roman Oehler, a German immigrant, purchased the house and 21 acres of surrounding property. Oehler was a Civil War veteran who owned a prosperous jewelry business in the area. During the Oehler occupancy, the porch on the front of the house was replaced with a wider one of concrete, and several outbuildings, which still stand, were constructed. Oehler's daughter, Romina Oehler Elder, and her husband and family were third owners of the house, occupying it until 1962. Ghost stories about the property trace back to the mid-60s. After the house had lain empty for more than 30 years, a family by the name of O'Brien owned and operated an antique business from the home for about 10 years.